stuff up, and then put 1 bucket of water on top of the blue wall. That should run all the way to the hopper, but not over. Finish the trim round with log and you are pretty much ready to start going upwards. Bring a central row with cobble. Again, this will not be seen, but this has to be a block that is conductive of redstone, otherwise it will not work. Next step is get 4 pistons. These do not have to be sticky pistons, even though I've used them. I just pulled them out of the inventory and space them out so as there is a gap between each one on either side. Make sure you put them on the same place because it just looks better. Now in the middle of the far ones on each end, put some more cobble and put a observer with its little redstone bum pointing towards the middle. That way, when it does its redstone fire, it will charge the block. And we're going to put some redstone on top of that block, which will mean that no matter when the observer fires, the entire row of redstone will fire. Now, you don't have to worry about lag because it will only fire this one level, which is only 8 pistons. That is not lag inducing, even in some really small machines. So I really wouldn't worry about it. Now, we are going to till the soil. Now use the hoe, use a wooden hoe, doesn't matter, in front of every observer and granite block, but not the piston blocks, because we're going to be planting up melons and pumpkins on this. I recommend melons on one side and pumpkins on the other, and that way you get the same type of stuff going into each of the 2 chests. It just makes it more tidy, and you know, I do love my tidiness when we're doing stuff like this. Now we're going to start to build up these walls a little bit more. We're going to do this piece by piece because it's easier than putting the walls in all the way from the start. Now create a second wall, but you want to leave a gap of 2 in the middle above the very centre because we're going to light things up. Pumpkins and melons need a light level of 10 above the stalk for them to actually grow. Then stick a second level of, I'm using stone brick, but this is whatever structural block you would like, and then next to them get another row of dirt. Now what we're going to do here is replicate exactly what we've done on the lower level on an upper level, but we do need to separate the water from the redstone. So build a 3x8 platform, bring the wood up, and then we're going to dig out the 2 trenches on either side next to the dirt. And then when we build the platform on the other end, we can encase the water. Make sure you put the water at the same ends you did before. It doesn't really matter, but for symmetry, it just looks better, and that will fill that up entirely and will be enough water for you to be able to till that soil. Again, put in those pistons with a gap between each one. That first piston in the middle is a temporary block if you want to use wool or something like that. It really doesn't matter. And then mirror it on the other side. And that way we've got exactly the same setup as we have underneath. Now get your observers. Again, redstone bum has to be facing inwards. You don't have to put one next to each piston, but if you want to, you can. It doesn't matter. I'm just using 4 rather than 8 purely because it's more economical. If you want to use 8, you absolutely can. It does actually improve the efficiency of the farm ever so slightly if you use observers instead of those cobblestone blocks. Now put another row across the top, the same as we did before, and a row down the middle. Now that row down the middle is what's going to house the redstone, so put a redstone line right across the top of that. And that redstone line will then conduct, no matter what observer sees something, that redstone line will fire all of the pistons. Again, don't worry about lag, it is only 8 pistons. Then till up the soil again using your hoe, exactly the same in front of the observers and those cobblestone blocks. Plant them up. Make sure you plant on the same side as you did before, melons on one side and pumpkins on the other. Again, build the wall up just a little bit by bit, and that way it encases everything. We're going to decorate this wall up in a minute, so don't worry about it looking like a big slab of wood. It will be better by the time we have finished. Now get yourself some glass. I prefer this to be glass. It doesn't have to be glass, but I like to be able to see what is going on. So get yourself a wall of glass all the way around and pop it over the top of the first part of that chest. It will open, don't worry, we're going to put a bit of glass down there at the bottom in a moment, but it will open because glass is a transparent block. Bring this to the height of the top of the logs that you've got there at the moment, and once you've got it to the top of those logs, we're going to put on a roof. Now I'm going to be using spruce slab, and we're going to put a bottom slab on all of that roof. That is going to mean that it is not spawnable by any mobs, and you won't get any creepers falling on your head when you walking past it, because they will be able to spawn on top if you use a solid block. Trim it around and make sure you've got an overhang every side, it just makes it look more attractive. There we go, we're just putting in the glass underneath. You can see it still opens up those chests without any problem. I'm now going to place some hanging lanterns on each corner. This is purely aesthetic really, it doesn't add much to the light. And then we're going to put in a load of bushes and also creepers along the side of this, because what I find is the vines, they're not creepers but they are creepers, aren't they? The vines on the sides and those bushes will give just a nice looking effect and takes away from that solid wood. That solid wood can be quite detracting when it comes to the build, and you want to make it look at least a little bit nice. Now you can build this up as many levels as you want. You can go up to the build limit if you want, but we are going to see what we get from 1 hour's worth of playing around with just 2 levels. The pumpkin and melon stalks have all grown up now and the chests are empty. So we are going to start a timer for an hour just to see what the hourly rate is on this 2-tier system.